Issue 133. Well, they definitely did make it clear what M was going to do at the end of the last issue's main story, because he didn't mess with Sonic's mind at all. He just shot eye lasers at him. And Eggman's floating camera broadcasts his struggle to his friends at Knothole. After we see Shadow having my full support of wanting to kill Eggman, since he's evil and all, we go back to Tails doing riddles with Adam, which he doesn't do well at all at because Eggman never did those with him. He tells Tails to ask him another riddle, wanting to prove his capability. Then we see a whole bunch of the heroes ready to prevent a horde of robots from reaching the irradiated Robotropolis. Wait, what? Julie says that Knuckles has lost his powers to the point where he can't even glide anymore. Okay, so apparently he didn't just lose his omnipotence, he lost everything that made him useful. I mean, I guess he did try and fail to glide right before the Zorda thing all ended. But I thought I didn't realize that was him trying to glide. I thought it was just him trying to be omnipotent. Did Aurora do this just to spite him for wanting to go save the world? So I completely take back Knuckles substituting for Sonic for You're Making Sense. At the very least, Espio and Mighty were there and they have special powers too. After M has the foresight to aim at where Sonic would be and hits him in the shoulder with a laser, Sally naturally panics at seeing this apparently knock him out, and runs away terrified at the possibility of him dying on her, saying, "Not again! Not again!" The sheer fact that she said that sentence so easily means a lot. After M shows sadism, Bunny suddenly shows up out of nowhere along with Jeffrey and the others in the Freedom Fighter special, and saves the day. Naturally, Sonic lampshades what took them so long, and Jeffrey explains turbulence. And if we're going to have Bunny have a hairstyle, I'm happy to see that's at least a long one. This looks great. Fiona says, "Let's have a look at that shoulder, you," and puts a washcloth on it that can only assume has some medicine so she's not wasting her time. And Sonic tells Bunny to fly out to Eggman's aircraft carrier and stop him from launching those missiles. Then he tells her to take Patch along for some reason. Sonic is confused about Bunny asking why she can't take someone else, because he assumed the two were in love. Fiona then explains to Sonic unhappily that Patch broke up with Bunny 6 months ago, although she doesn't specify who did the breaking up. After their attention is gotten by a noise, an explosion happens with a scary-looking M reduced to an exoskeleton saying, "You ruined my makeup." What makeup? She didn't even look like a woman at all at that point. Adam then finally figures out that the answer to Tails' riddle is a newspaper, thinking creatively enough to realize red was a pun. Then there's a meaningful silence from him after Tails says adorably, "Isn't this fun?" to an AI that just tried to kill him. We then see that the robots fighting Knuckles and his friends have gone offline, because Adam was controlling them, and he realized that he was having genuine fun with Tails. Eggman then complains that his missile countdown stopped just before it could happen, and gets kicked by Shadow, which isn't satisfying since we don't get to actually see the physical contact. And Bunny reveals that nobody's seen Shadow at all in months. Why? Why'd he isolate himself like that? You'd think if Hope reminded him of Maria, he'd want to spend all his time palling around with her. After Eggman somehow escapes and Shadow's advised against going after him for some reason, Tails realizes he's got control of the tornado again and wonders what happened to Adam. Then we see Eggman asking in a submarine he escaped with because he conveniently had it there apparently, what about his missiles? Adam suddenly says he's launching them now, and starts the countdown again. I guess he's really conflicted? Doesn't he realize the missiles would just kill Tails, and he's supposed to be a genius? Patch naturally takes offense to Shadow telling Bunny to take him to a safe place, as it's implied that he can't do anything to help, and says, "Now just you..." But Shadow runs off along the surface of the water before he could do anything, and Bunny takes off with her rocket boots without Patch, seeming to totally ignore what Shadow said because I guess she doesn't care what happens to them. Either that or she took him to a safe place off-screen. She attacks the submarine, and after Espio tries to use his long tongue attack on Sonic the Fighters, which is a nice touch, he gets grabbed by M and thrown onto Jeffrey. M is so genre savvy. Why did he think he'd hurt him with that? Why does Hershey think she can do anything to M? Sonic asks Fiona if she's finished patching him up, and despite his broken arm, even though he was hit in the shoulder and not the arm, he runs around M in a circle and uses the sheer force of his speed to send her falling into the ocean fatally, because M's exoskeleton wasn't designed to be waterproof for some reason. With the battle won, we see Sally's mother hugging her trying to comfort her, reassuring her traumatized seeing daughter that Sonic's still alive multiple times in a row. The story ends with Adam saying that he had fun, as I wonder what Eggman's going to do to him after that. I mean, why would he not punish him for any of that? Does he like him that much? The next story, 25 years into the future, has Knuckles show just minor resentment that Rotor didn't show up for his daughter's bar mitzvah, unveiling. Rotor says that nobody would care if he didn't show. He's gotta work on the self-confidence there, and Knuckles says that his wife was disappointed that Sally and her kids didn't make the trip. Rotor says that Sally was equally disappointed. It doesn't explain why they didn't come. Rotor says that it's the beginning of the end, because bullshit. And Lyra complains that her friends got to spend the night out after their own unveilings. And Julie says that she's not their mother. She's called out on being overprotective and still treating her daughter like a kid. At least Lyra's pink part of her hair is colored way closer to red now, so that looks a lot better. I actually kind of like her design now. Julie then confuses me by saying that her parents were watching her every move when she was a kid and she just didn't know it. That makes no sense considering her parents died when she was very young due to accidents. Unless she means her adoptive parents. She points out that her parents aren't even and gets cut off, although from Julie's reaction it's obvious what she means. How would she be so sure anyways? And why would that be the case when Knuckles and Julie seem to get along great? Julie then proves that in the end, her parenting is making one of the same mistakes as Locke's because Lyra said something that Knuckles basically did a lot. Don't I have a say in the matter? He's not the only one with this problem, although I'm on her parents' side for this one. They just want to be responsible with her. It's kind of weird that Julie is so responsible of a mother when she was a spunky punk full of sass as a teenager, but I guess she matured when she grew up. Meanwhile, Rotor continues to explain that the signs he's found of the apocalypse include lightning, the tides, atmospheric pressure, and temperature, and somehow neglects to mention the fact that these could all just be Days of Fury symptoms, since they disrupt the weather too. Then I'm promptly confused after Linda's son is seen making out with the girl for a little bit, close enough to hear the conversation. Then I'm expected to believe that he only heard the second half of the conversation, despite being just as within earshot for the first. So all that he hears is that Rotor needs resources from Echidnas and the king, and says that the king will be left to him, and he says that his mother will be hearing about this with an evil smirk because he's a dick. The main story was by Carl Bullers. I'm really glad so many characters got to be useful here, with Bunny getting to be awesome, ruining Eggman's submarine, and protecting Sonic from M after he was injured, and Fiona patching him up, although I'm sure literally anyone could have done that. And Sally was pretty sympathetic here, and in this arc in general, as she's practically having panic attacks over Sonic getting killed right after she just got him back, twice in a row. It was also pretty sweet how Adam got convinced to side with Tails by finding playing riddles with him fun, especially since even I wouldn't have fun with riddles and just find them really frustrating. I just can't think outside the box enough to solve them. And the second story by Ken Penders was at least actually readable this time around, having a plot, where on the one hand, Rotor's telling Knuckles that the world was ending because of bullshit, and somehow being overheard by Leanda's son for only the second half that doesn't tell him anything, because we need an excuse for conflict. At least that's interesting. And on the other hand, Julie and Lyra having a generic argument between parent and daughter about how Lyra isn't given any freedom by her protective parents. So what if they care too much, better than not caring at all? I can understand why she would be annoyed at not being allowed to go out and have fun though.